This morning we're going to do the next part really of the log weight, which is the log buffer. And I put this one similar to the right log weight because they often, not always, but they do tend to go together, and there's a reason why that is. So let's just do a quick review about the right log. Log operations are first written to a memory block called the log buffer, which are then later flushed to disk. Okay. So remember that the way that a SQL Server works with the ACID principles is, you have your updates, inserts, deletes. That happens on the log first before that occurs to the data file. Okay, so when you run a delete or when you run an update, it does not occur to the data file first. It occurs on the log, right? Okay, but on the log, it first occurs to this log buffer memory piece, and then that is flushed to the actual log file, the LDF. Okay. And this happens sequentially. This is one of the reasons why, again, building more log files does not help you. The log file is sequential operations, so one file is more than enough. In fact, it's not useful at all to build another log file unless you completely run out of space and you have to do it for some type of quick hack. Okay, so in the case of the weight type, where it is a log buffer weight type, okay. This is when there is a wait for the room, or wait for room or space on that log buffer piece in memory, okay? So this is similar to write log, and the reason why you'll often see them together is, let's say that something is waiting for, let's say there's a bottleneck on the disk, and it's waiting to write that log information to disk. Well, the problem is if it's waiting for the disk, what do you think is going to happen when it needs to send it to that log buffer memory, right? Because it needs to go from the log buffer memory to the log disk, but it can't because it's waiting on the disk, so the right log wait. So then what ends up happening is you have a log buffer wait, okay? And so one of the things that you definitely want to look at here is your disk and memory bottlenecks, similar to the right log wait type. Probably the most common that I've seen relates to a disk bottleneck. For instance, in an OLTP environment, your fastest disks or your faster disks need to be handling your log for sure. It's very important because of the type environment that you're in. It's not quite the case with an OLAP environment. That's not really true because, again, you're going to experience load times generally with an OLAP environment, and then that's that. The other thing that you'll definitely want to look at as well, and recently I've seen this one come up with both of these weight types, is your VLFs, okay? Because, and this isn't a guarantee that VLFs are a problem, more VLFs are a problem, that is, but it can sometimes be a warning that you're going to see this weight type. Remember that VLFs, those are the virtual log files. If you have a growth in VLFs, a lot of times, if you look at the growth setting for your logs, you will see that the growth setting for your logs is what I would say is misconfigured. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why I like to pre-grow my logs. This is one of the reasons why I like to cap the growth. I'm pretty anal about those things. A lot of people would disagree, but the reason is it allows me to control for the amount of VLFs. A lot of people don't do that. They'll actually just let a log file grow and grow and grow, and to me that's definitely something to be concerned about. So make sure though that your growth settings are appropriate as well. For instance, you do not, if your log is going to grow, for instance, at 1 meg every time it needs to grow, first of all, that's going to slow it down anyway. But if you think about that in general, what do you think is going to happen to your VLF count in the long run? If it needs to grow 3 gig, but it's going to grow in 1 meg chunks, that's just going to be awful performance. So you also, if you're going to allow logs to grow, set it to be large enough to handle that. So definitely still look at your bottlenecks with memory and disk, okay? Disk especially. If you're in an OLTP environment, you need to make sure that the right disk is handling the log.